Well, hello everybody, and this is Auntie, and I am going to be doing my review of 90 Day Fiancé Season 12, Episode 11, Meeting the Family, featuring Aisha and Maxwell. Let's get into it, shall we? Oh, yes, we shall.
A sweet old auntie. Thank you, subscribers and my nieces and nephews. All of y'all who have been here through the long haul. Shall we get into it? Oh, yes, we shall. It's time for auntie to rise. Sweet old. It's time for auntie to rise. Oh, yeah. It's time for auntie to rise.
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. This is Auntie, and we're going to be doing several videos today on yesterday's episode of 90 Day Fiancé, Season 12, Episode 11, Meeting the Family. This episode is going to be about Aisha and Maxwell. I am splitting it up because I got so much to say that the video is going to be 2 hours. So please bear with me. If you are already subscribed to the channel, make sure you turn your notification bells on so that every time I go live, you go live right along with me. We got a lot to talk about tonight, so let's get into it. So on this episode of 90 Day Fiancé, we see Aisha basically having a conversation with Maxwell's mother. As we all know, Maxwell's mother has not been happy about the relationship since she has found out that Aisha is 38 years old and she is 10 years older than Maxwell. The mother and the father's concern is that she will not be able to bear him any children because they believe at 38 years old, you are unable to have children. And of course, we all know that that is not all the way true. You could be 20 years old and still have problems with fertility. Okay. So I think that, we need to stand down. They need to back up off of that, right? Because everybody is not guaranteed to have fertility no matter what the age is. Is there a possibility the older that you get, the less fertile you are, or maybe need some assistance with having a baby? True. That is true. But this family is judging her and her ability and her qualifications for marrying Maxwell. And so we've had that conversation. Asia comes in with the mother and they are talking. She opens up a door for them to have a discussion. But before she does, she gives her a pocketbook that she had picked up for her at the market and two, I don't want to call them muumuus, but y'all like dashiki type of dresses. I think that's what you call it for a better term. Let me know downtown in the comment what the correct word was for me to say. And so, she says, I know you were concerned about some things. I want to just open up the door and have a conversation with you about it. And so the mother, goes on to talk about the fertility issue and about the fact that she feels like she doesn't have a right to change her son's face, his eyes, or anything like that, right? And so, she says that his body is the temple of God, and that because his body is the temple of God, that, God has created him the way that he has. Let me tell you, God did not create me with these pink lips. Neither did he birth me with earrings in my ear. He did not give me a little bit of mascara to put on my eyes. God didn't do any of that. He doesn't do the enhancement. He didn't put these braids in my hair. But anything that we want to change about ourselves, we are free to do it in this day and age. God is not talking about, that you can't change anything. And the temple, of a person being a temple, is a symbolism, right, of what Christianity is. We don't live in temples. We don't slaughter cattle and all of that and make burnt sacrifices on the altar to God, right? The altar of God is in our heart. And her to come up with this foolish, ancient, historical Christian beliefs in order to manipulate a situation is just outrageous. Completely outrageous. Because if she was the temple of God, her and her husband, he wouldn't have had that hot ass tracksuit on, and he wouldn't be looking. Oh, so Asia was like, even still, right? She's giving the mother a benefit of the doubt. She's trying to, maneuver with her, trying to make it the best, trying to be at peace with them, right? Because they picked the pettiest thing to be angry about. And so Asia says, look, even the temple was renovated. And so, the mother's like, you're going to change my son so much that he is going to be unrecognizable. Let me tell you something. I have seen this man on TikTok, and I have seen the condition of his skin. And honey, if she wasn't trying to help him, can you imagine what kind of monster he would look like? At first I had, criticisms for Asia as far as, trying to help him and stuff like that. Didn't really see it. But the more that we have seen him on camera and the close-up shots and all that, they ain't even got to get close up. This mofo got some horrible skin. And it just almost looks like ulcers. I don't know if y'all know anybody that got ulcers, but that's what it looks like. He has ulcers on his skin. And so she is trying to improve what he has. Even in the temple, everything was done with the top notch of materials and stuff like that, right? We ain't even gonna get into the temple because I can tell you some things about the temple because I used to study that, especially being a, praise and worship leader. But anyway, I digress. He needs all the help that he can get. He needs help with his hairline. And when she was talking about the eyes and stuff like that, she's not trying to make his brown eyes blue. She is just trying to make them clear. Okay, like he doesn't hang out in the club and be in the smoke-filled room and his eyes is yellow. And so, they go back and forth about it. And so the mother, comes up with the thing and said, I'm supporting y'all, you know, basically it was an apology about her behavior and everything. And Asia is gracious. Okay, she's gracious and she deals with it, but she's got to be on point. So the mother says, you're going to give me 4 children, and Asia's like, I'm not going to give you 4 children, right? 2 boys, and the mother was like 2 boys and 2 girls, and Asia said 2 boys and a girl. But nobody has any control really, unless you are paying thousands of dollars to do separate stem cells and all of that kind of stuff. Nobody knows and can predict what kind of sex they're going to have, with their baby. And Asia will be blessed to have a baby with him. Moreover, Mom, you don't know. Have you ever had your son check to see whether or not he's fertile to give somebody or to make somebody pregnant? Like the responsibility. Evidently, they live in an antiquated life, and they're living, back in it before Christ time, because he could be the one to have the issues. You never know. He may be spry and 28 years old, but that doesn't mean that he's fertile and he's capable of producing a seed. I mean, let's just be for real. It's time out for making the responsibility of having a child or not having a child on the woman. And this is where the mother and the sister are. When was the last time you all had him checked to make sure that he got fertile sperm? I'll wait. Your son may not be able to produce anything. And I had an opportunity the other day to sit and listen to him on TikTok, and he has such negative things to say about American women. And I'm like, Asia, this guy doesn't have any type of spirituality in him whatsoever. I made a comment under one of his videos because he's very negative when it comes to um, American women critiquing us. He doesn't know, what people backgrounds are. They could be Nigerian as far as he knows, but because they're here in America, he has such negative things to say about it. And that is one of the things that I have noticed, in my encounter with a lot of African men, that they have negative things to say about American black women when they're, don't even go there, auntie. Anyway, so I digress. So Asia now, he comes in, he's like, "You're gonna be my wife," and she's like, "I'm gonna be your wife, and you're gonna be my husband," and they all lovey-dovey and all of that kind of stuff. And then the next thing you know, right, she makes a phone call to her godbrother by the name of Rod. And so she gets Rod on the phone and she tells Rod, "Guess what? Hey, how you doing?" He like, "Fine." And because he knows she's of course in Africa. And she tells him that the two of them, her and Maxwell, have made a decision that they're going to get married there, and she needs them to get a flight out and to come to a small wedding that she's going to have. So he goes, oh, first of all, she asked him what he was doing. He said, "I'm doing some work around the house." And she's like, "How cold is it? What's the temperature there?" So he says 40 degrees. So she's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. I'm over here in Africa. Good thing I'm in Africa because, honey, I ain't got nothing on but a t-shirt and some shorts." So he just completely bypassed that. So she goes on and tells him that they made a decision that they're going to get married, that they're going to apply for the marriage fees and everything. And he was like, "What that mean?" What that mean? Break that down in layman's terms. She said, "So, babe, what we gonna do is we gonna get married over here instead of applying for the visa." He was like, "What? Yo, you crazy? You mean to tell me you done held yourself? You've been celibate all these years only to get married like this? You gonna elope?" She was like, "No, we're not gonna allow." Because she like, "No, we're not gonna allow. I'm calling you. You're invited. I want you to be here. I want you to get it." He said, "Is you crazy?" He said, "You about to marry somebody you don't even know. You don't even know that man." And he told her that you ain't even meeting somebody at your caliber. Honey, let me tell you something. It's a blessing when you got somebody that's going to tell you the truth. He read her down. Now, one thing that I notice about Asia is that she knows how to pause. She knows how to respond and not react. Asia simply told him, "Ain't no need. I'm already here. There's no need for me to come back home and fly all the way back out here to get married. We made a decision that we're going to get married, and either you're going to support me or you not." He was like, "But are you pregnant?" She was like, "Now, I'm not pregnant." He said, "Because I'm trying to figure out what it is that is making you marry this man that you don't know anything about." And so, she's like, "Well, you wanted me to get married and all of that. And now that I found somebody that I love and I'm compatible with, now you don't want me to get married to him." And so he's like, "But you don't, Asia, but you don't, Asia, you don't know this man." He said, "You are destroying your life." She said, "No, I'm building my life." Asia, the Bible says, if you're a Christian, the Bible says, don't be quick to do anything. You are doing this basically under duress. Rod told her, "What if the embassy knows something that we don't know?" And I absolutely agree with Rod on that. This guy and his friend were denied for a reason. Where's Asia's girlfriend that was supposed to be marrying his cousin or friend, best friend? Where are they in the equation? Why haven't we filmed with them? Why don't we know what happened with their relationship? The two of them were denied. And so you're going to, like Ross said, you're going to go over what the embassy already suspects or knows about them and marry him anyway because Asia wants to be right. She is one of those women that is so spirit heavily bound and heavily minded that she is of no earthly good. You have to try the spirit by the spirit to see if it's of God. And I think that she is so caught up into saying this is about God that people have backed up. God told me, God told me. And usually when people come out with that kind of stuff, right, it does tend to make you back up. Okay, well, if you said it was God, then I'm gonna back up and stand down. But this her God brother Rod is more concerned about her than he is about her spiritual intellect or her spiritual manipulation. Because in my opinion, it is spiritual manipulating the scripture and everything else in order to get what it is that you want in your own mind and in your own heart. You can't put your desires above God. And you also need to look at warnings. When you go over there and your husband has lived in a place where he can't even film, and you all have to, you don't know what kind of poverty and stuff like that he's really coming out of, because you're seeing him at resorts, you're seeing him now in an Airbnb. Like, what is his family lineage? What's the background? What tribe are they in? How prosperous are they? She says on TikTok that he has these degrees, but when we heard Rod said he ain't got nothing. He ain't got nothing. He has absolutely nothing. So Rod knows more than we know. Rod said this mofo ain't got nothing. And the only thing that I could think of is that he lives in an area that is a red zone that they couldn't even film in, but his mother and father and sister got their heads up and being snooty. Let me tell you something. A lot of people who are like that, they're like that because they don't have anything. She said, I want you to come over. He said, yeah, maybe I do need to come over there and talk you out of this. This man has nothing. So she told him she wants him to gather the girls together, which are her sisters. She said, they're not used to traveling, and I need you all to come over here. We having a small ceremony. The thing about it is, God has everything for us. Why would he, being the God that Asia says that he is, wants her to settle with a little small African wedding and not give her the desires of her heart? I'm sure her desires was to have this fabulous wedding, you know what I'm saying, under the care of God, since she's such a Christian. Why would God want her to minimize it down to this? She is not being integral with her own self about this. She's just not. But Rod told her, I'm coming over there to try to talk some sense into you. But as I told you all, she has a restaurant in Alabama, and I believe that he is already married and here, right? Because there is a poster of him in her restaurant. Her restaurant opens up Friday through Sunday, and they already have a big poster of the two of them up on the wall, which is the same exact picture that you see right here. Asia girl, you may be in trouble. I don't know if that's where you want to be or where you need to be, but baby, you in trouble. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think downtown in the comment section about this couple. We'll be right back for our next couple. Make sure your notification bells are on, that you are subscribed to the channel. And the way that you know that you are subscribed to the channel is when you hit that bell, it changes a different color. I love you all so much. And until we meet again, y'all be safe in those streets and in the water. Bye, y'all.